Well, thank you for staying with us. Most certainly, so many issues will determine whether or not we have the kind of leader we want, or leaders we want, in the coming elections in 2023. The economy is most certainly one of them. Just not too long ago, we heard that the Central Bank of Nigeria, following its meeting, increased the MPR from 10% to 30%, and so many people, individuals and companies, have been asking questions in their minds. Interest rates, beg your pardon, have been asking a lot of questions in their minds. So let's ask our own questions, and hopefully they will be part of the questions you've been asking yourself. Dr. Austin Weze joins us this morning. He's an economist. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
First of all, when you heard this announcement, how did it come to you?
Well, not surprising, knowing the antecedents of CBN, their policies and all that, and the inflation targeting. What they have done is that since that the inflation is high, and one of the ways of taming inflation is by increasing the interest rate. And you know that interest rate has a way of influencing the entire economy. Whatever you want to achieve in the economy, if you manipulate the interest rate very well, it will either, contract the economy or expand the economy. In the sense that if you reduce the interest rate, it will make funds more available for businesses to borrow and expand, thereby creating jobs. But if you want to contract the economy when the inflation is high, you increase the interest rate. So the purchasing power is, But I worry that because what the central bank should be thinking, or not even the Ministry of Finance and the fiscal policy end of it, is what they should be thinking about is how do we expand the economy? How do we produce? But that's the major thing.
But that's a conversation we've been having for eons, for a very, very, very long time now. If memory serves me right, as far back as the late 70s into the early 80s, that we've been having this conversation.
Yeah, because you see that they don't know what to do, or they deliberately, and they feel that they're doing investors a favor, okay? And some, actually, body language of the either policymakers or decision makers and all that, that shows that, for instance, when Bola Ige was Minister of Power, some group came from, I think, Hungary, thereabouts. I think either Hungary or one of the Nordic countries, to invest over $2 billion in power. But that project was killed. Some other group came to do railway from Lagos to Calabar in 4 hours. That project was killed. So, and you see them going about doing the same thing from that time even up to now.
So what, in your opinion, informs these decisions, frustrating these investments, killing this and killing that, as you just talked about?
Self-interest, or invested interests.
Whose interest?
Invested interest. Invested interest. For instance, and it may is in the media, and it's common knowledge that for power to work, you need to take care of the generator importers. And some generator importers have also positioned themselves to supply, just in case they ban generator any day, so that they can position themselves to buy or supply, play in the power sector. Okay, they already play in the power sector. So you see, these things, it takes leadership to be able to, handle this.
Okay. Now, going to the issue of, how this all plays out, concerning, the elections, politics, the leadership that you mentioned now, what should be the focus of the Nigerian, especially the businesses? Because the crucial issue, as far as I'm concerned here, is if this, continues as the CBN has begun to execute now, it's most certainly going to have a lot of impact on smaller businesses, and the employment figures.
Yeah.
Or isn't that correct?
Yes, definitely, because I'm not sure businesses are asking I don't know whether there'll be debate, and then this question will be asked. Or, they're asking, I'm not sure they're asking the right questions right now. The concern of every business is the interest rate. The three, the unholy trinity, the interest rate, foreign exchange, and inflation. How are they going to manage it? These are the questions that the businesses are asking or should be asking.
Who should be asking on behalf?
The businesses should be asking the candidates what their positions on the economy.
But just recently,
maybe we should be asking the CBN, if raising interest rate is supposed to encourage borrowing and making people spend less. I wonder if you have seen a justification for that decision, because in the past 2 months we've seen the CBN do that. Have you witnessed, that expected impact, especially in the real sector, of people borrowing more and spending less? Because we're not producing. That means that we're expecting another, inflation figure in another month.
Yeah, one is this. They expecting people to borrow more, and the cash reserve ratio has also been increased, which makes it the banks, difficult to have the kind of money they should have to express themselves to loan to the businesses. So businesses are choking, and you see them taking off to different. My friend that runs a business in Abuja just folded up because he couldn't cope. The interest rate is killing. And the small businesses cannot borrow. They are not competitive. Yes, our products cannot compete outside. Nigeria is not competitive. Because of the business ease of doing business and business environment, is choking.
So raising interest rate is defeatist. It doesn't meet its objective.
Yeah, because raising interest rate now, you're being narrow-minded. Just targeting so that inflation will come down and all that. And my take is this. If they find ways, have a strategy of how to expand the economy, production, because no nation can actually grow without production, then, only then, as production is increasing, yes, inflation will be high, but within 3 to 5 years, there'll be a convergence. Inflation will drop.
You said strategy.
Yes.
What strategy could there be that we have not even considered over the years?
Yes, we had, but the implementation of all those strategies.
Give us an example.
For instance, when Charles Oludo was CBN governor, he came up with needs, seeds, and leads. If we had followed up, when Yaradua came, those things were, discarded with. Okay? So the competitiveness, the area that the strategy of saying, okay, look, let us start with the raw material base. Look at the factor endowments in different states. Where do we want to play? And as far back as 2006, Nigeria's economy was about 79% of West African economy. And what they could do, if they could speed up the borders so that trade can happen, then the economy will also improve. Now the manufacturers are finding it difficult to produce. You saw what happened to Dunlop a few years ago. The big tire manufacturing that Dunlop wanted to engage in, after retooling their factory, spending over 8 billion naira to retool their factory, then there was a policy reducing import tariff of big tires from 40% to 10%. Whose interest is this serving? The importers of those tires. So there have been policy somersault here and there, and policy inconsistency that made it impossible for businesses to grow. My friend who runs a tomato factory, Risco, I spoke to him recently. He's also choking even to pay salaries. He's been fighting and fighting for them to really ban the foreign potatoes, because the indigenous ones have capacity to meet up demand. And even if they don't have capacity, the government policy should be, how do we make you have the capacity to?
Mr. Nweze, agricultural development is critical to the survival of the manufacturing sector, particularly because of backward integration issues and all of that. But in the absence of that right now, what are the options available to the CBN such that we don't go through another round of raising interest rates in the next 1 month if we have another high inflation figure?
Yeah, the thing is about in agriculture that people that are not supposed to play in that sector are also playing. I remember when Adesina was minister, he registered about 10 million farmers, and we are hungry. How can we have 10 million farmers and we are hungry? These are people that want to take advantage of, And again, the CBN, I don't know how, whether it's part of their mandate, because sometimes they go out of their mandate to do this, ankle borrowing and all that. Okay, so if there's sincerity, for instance, one of the major agricultural firms owned by foreigners borrowed money from CBN, about 40 billion or so, and they budgeted about 10 billion just to crash prices of so that competitors will not be able to operate, and they achieved that within 5 years. Those competitors sold to them. So we are going back to monopoly. And you know that monopoly will never develop any economy. So and there should be some kind of law against an anti-monopoly, anti-competition law, like they have in US antitrust law, which will open up the space, and any company that is becoming too big or too monopolistic, you break it down. Yeah. So these are the things that are playing out in that sector.
Okay, now, speaking to the functions of the economy as we build up to the elections, what are the questions you would want Nigerians, or you would suggest Nigerians to be asking? If you would draw an agenda for the Nigerian on the questions to ask concerning the economy so that our lives can be better, so that purchasing power of the Nigerian can improve, what are those questions that you'll be prescribing?
No, well, there are some critical key areas that even the Nigeria Economic Summit Group also came up with, that we feel that the critical areas of the economy that should be focused on. One is education. And you can see that we're on strike, okay?
But primary schools and secondary schools are not on strike.
Yes, but the tertiary. Okay. And these are the repository of knowledge that will work with industries and all that. Two, all I'm asking is just functional education. We need to reform it. Two is health, okay? Health is wealth, For some time, for instance, it was recently I realized how important my health is, till I started having health challenge, okay? So it's important to us, and most of the things is that we could, the doctor that takes care of me now comes from the UK, okay, to Lagos every month. All right, so
that's interesting. So you don't go.
Yeah. Health tourism.
Yeah, so it's so we can. Why can't we? And it's a Nigerian it's a Nigerian. So you see, we need to reform our health sector so that I'm happy with what is happening with some of the new health centers going on, like I've seen around Lagos and also outside Lagos. So another area is. ICT. This is a knowledge economy. In the year 2000, the world entered a knowledge economy, and ICT is a driver, okay, of this. So many countries, and you said .com companies have grown, even brick and mortar companies grown faster, brick and mortar. So that's the ICT. Agriculture is also one of it. But the challenge I have with agriculture, the way we do agriculture, is a concept of agriculture. You see, because agriculture is agricultural science. But we've taken away science from agriculture. Okay? Agriculture is supposed to be 95% science and 5% work. And why do we still wait till seasons to happen for us to eat some of this fruit? Why can't we grow And I'm happy with what is going on right now. And, you know, they say something is mother of invention. There's a saying around.
Necessity is a mother of invention.
Yes. When the header farmer issue started happening, some people came up with an idea of how to grow. You know, I could see if people grow yam, you know, tubers of yam in a sack without actually tilling the ground and all that.
So now let's tie that to what governments can do going forward, particularly as we're at the edge of another election. How can that science of agriculture be incorporated into a development plan that would work? And I noted that you also queried the CBN's development finance involvement, you know, as being, whether it's being part of their mandate. So are you saying that the CBN should hands off
there's not even the conventional banks. They're not set up to understand the kind of risk that entrepreneurs take, because everything is towards financing entrepreneurs. We need to have more venture capital firms, more private equity firms. These are anywhere in the world. If you want businesses to grow, you need to channel those funds, not through BOI, okay? Because conventional banks are not set up for them to reason the way entrepreneurs, because they have not, you know, so but venture capital firms are also entrepreneurs. They will just take a seat in the company, handhold the company, they will grow. After 5 years, they check out and move on to another company. These are people that, you know, so but we are not, I can't count up to 10 venture capital firms for a population of 200 million. Look at Israel. Israel, for instance, you know, of 7 million, but they have about 300 venture capital firms. So any new idea can actually, and our boys are coming up with new ideas, okay? And then we need the leadership, a leader that will be able to market, that understand business. We've not been blessed, okay, you know, with leaders that understand business. Okay, now but this time around, okay, for instance, the president of, Prime Minister of Laos, has been following the MD of the CEO of Apple, just for one component of Apple to be manufactured in his country. He finally succeeded. From day one, 5,000 jobs created. I can see the addition it has done to the GDP.
In that light, let's close on this. There are certain countries that are known for certain specific products. It's not the only thing they do, but it's what they are most known for. The Netherlands, for instance, is for dairy products and all of that. If you would suggest a product agriculturally that, as Bukola suggested earlier, what product would you say Nigeria should focus on?
It's a bit challenging because we are blessed.
I'm going to allow you.
We are blessed with so many things, okay, and it will be apart from oil. And I was telling someone recently that Nigeria's economy is already diversified. What we have not been able to achieve is to decentralize it. Okay. Because each community, there are factor endowments. Each community we can grow, and then grow it very well, that we can export. Okay.
I guess you're already giving an agenda to the next government. We have to thank you because we have completely run out of time. Yeah. Dr. Austin Weze, he is an economist, and thank you again for your perspectives this morning.
Thank you.